Hi, my name's Emma Sumner. I'm here at the Farmer's Arms with Wendy Keegan, who is a local luminary of history who has lived opposite the Farmer's Arms for all of her life and who is going to tell us a little bit more about the history of this much loved institution and its centre place within the local community. So, Wendy, thank you so much for joining us. It's really great to have you here. We are outside the Farmer's Arms at the moment, and as you can see, the fantastic view behind Wendy. So, Wendy, please do tell us a little bit about your kind of early memories of the Farmer's Arms.
Well, as you said, I was born here, 1943, just in the middle of the war. So the Farmer's Arms has been in the village for generations, centuries, and like everything else has altered considerably over all the years. Originally it was a small beer house, served its own beer in the kitchen, made its own beer, and the whole village was owned by the Wilson family. They owned all the cottages, they owned the pub as well, and they were farmers as part of their income. So originally a lot of the buildings that are now part of the pub itself were all connected with the farm side of things. The place was bought very strangely by a family called Carruthers, who were here on holiday and had come to the auction because they were interested in what was going on. And they finished their holiday by owning the pub, lock, stock and barrel. They were quite enterprising. They were furniture restorers and picture framers who lived at Old Trafford. And this is the origin of a lot of the pictures and also the large pieces of furniture that still remain in the pub itself. Certainly some of the pictures, I would think, can't always guarantee that
who they're attributed to are the right people.
Exactly. Some of that could be a bit questionable because they were quite good at a little bit of exaggeration, shall we say.
Yeah.
They were two brothers and a sister, Bert and Dan, and Sarah, the sister. Bert and Dan were quite enterprising. It was they who really started the pub the way it perhaps has gone till today. They built bits on here and bits on there. They made the bar, created the bar out of what was some of the old house rooms. And through the war, when they couldn't get a spirit license, they weren't thwarted. They bought a row of cottages at Backbarrow with a pub called the Ainsworth Arms, which had a spirit license, and just transferred it. They built one room, this room actually, that I'm looking at from here. This was all built on during the war. No one knew it was being built on because at that point there were high hedges and it all went on surreptitiously when building work was not allowed. And at I think it could have been VE or VJ Day, all of a sudden the two doors opened in the wall in the stable bar and this whole new room was christened that day.
And wasn't that the room that all of the parties took place in as well?
Some of the parties took place in this new part now that is now, or was originally sort of the dining room that was built on over recent years.
Yeah.
Or before that, in the part of the lounge, which then was converted to the lounge bar.
Yeah.
Prior to that, the Carruthers, quite enterprisingly, converted the hayloft where the spinning gallery is, and they made that into a dance room. And we have at home still a great big mirror with a black frame, great big rectangular mirror with a black frame. And apparently these were screwed all around the walls, and a glitter ball hung from the roof, and they had dances in there.
They were the parties that a chap would drive around in his
That's
Daimler,
right. Yeah.
and pick up local ladies to come and,
Yes.
and entice the
Yeah.
chaps of the area to come and
That's
enjoy
right,
the
yeah.
dances.
Yeah, Bert had the Daimler. The Daimler would quite often be taking maybe possibly an odd sheep or a couple of pigs to market on the Thursday, would get swept out, and then on Friday night he would go round into Ulverston, pick up a whole load or maybe 2 loads of young ladies and bring them up to the dance, and encourage all the local lads to come up. And they were very popular. They were the first dances.
Yeah.
Then it was after a few years after the war, when they left and the brewery bought the pub, and they put in Clem and Clara Sutcliffe. They were the first managers.
A muck spreader going past.
Local traffic. And they were very popular. Clem was a very popular landlord. I was that was all part of my era, because I was a little girl when they arrived. Clem could be rather grumpy. I think it was just his way, but I didn't, sort of 4 and 5 year old, really didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I used to be on the watch, and when I saw him go to Ulverston in Jub, which was his car, JUB, I would go in and say to Mummy, Jub's gone, going across to see Mrs. Sutt. And I'd go galloping across the road and sit in the bar, dangling my feet, while Mrs. Sutcliffe taught me to sew. She never really got as far as teaching me to crochet. Embroidery was a bit difficult because I'm very left-handed, but she had patience galore.
Yeah.
And we would sit and she would natter to me. And I spent hours and hours across here. Sometimes if I couldn't get in the front door, I'd come down the back and down the steps, and they had this big strutting cockerel behind in the garden behind the pub, and it hated me, and it always pecked my legs every step I came down.
How rude.
Yeah, it did. It used to come flying out and peck at me. Yeah, and I was a bit of a tomboy, and she always said, "Oh, when you get older, you'll turn into a little girl." And she gave me, when I was 5 years old, she gave me a powder a powder bowl that I still have on the dressing table upstairs, with a little letter to say that she was giving me it for my birthday, and she hoped I'd use it when I was a little bit older, and when I decided that it was better to be a girl than a boy. And I've still got the letter and the powder bowl, which is really rather nice.
Oh.
They were here until probably the early 1960s, when the Joneses took over.
Yeah.
They were the people that first started the supper dances. They were quite popular, and people came from all over to those. Lovely suppers, I will admit. And they were the ones that were in what I call the back bar.
Yeah.
They had just rolled all the carpets up at night, and we had a dance in there. Bob and Kath were here for about 4 years maybe, and then they moved from then over, I think, first to the Crown at High Newton.
Oh, yeah.
And then at one point they were at the Lancastrian in Lancaster. before Bob eventually ended up at the Winter Gardens at Morecambe, running that years later. So they were the first people to do the dances. In the 1960s, mid-1960s, the Broadleys arrived from the Gale at Rochdale, and by that time I was adult, at the same age as Philip and Dorothy, and so we used the pub a lot at that point. I mean, there weren't other places really to go to. We didn't need other places to go to. We used to play darts or dominoes. Always at Christmas they had darts, dom, and don nights.
Oh.
My dad would sort of registered me to play all these things. Well, I could maybe throw a dart and possibly chance of hitting the dartboard. And the dominoes, well, that was okay. But Don, I hadn't a clue. And surprisingly enough, although I was knocked out of both the darts and the dominoes, we actually got to the final of the Don, and I really hadn't a clue what I was doing. However, that was like...
Beginner's luck.
Definitely beginner's luck. And they were the people, we sort of had a bit of a boozy session one night, and that was the night that Great Valley Benevolent Fund was formed.
Yeah, because I think that the pub's really been a key part of the community for years, hasn't it? And
pub,
things like
the pub has been, yes.
The Benevolent Fund is a key part of that history.
Oh, the Benevolent Fund was, and we raised money. We had a damn good time, but we raised money, and we raised it locally.
Yeah.
We gave televisions to the local schools. I think we did something for Sandside Lodge in town, and all sorts of local things.
Yeah.
The pub actually brought other buildings in as well, because quite a lot of the people who worked originally on the Bowater factory actually lived in the area.
Yeah.
And it was they who discovered the big full-size billiard table down at Spark Ridge in the village hall, the institute, and got it rebased. So they'd all come here, have a drink, and they whip down, have a couple of games of billiards or pool or whatever, and then come back again. So really, it brought quite a lot of people in
as well as and everybody mixing together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing history, isn't it? And
it is.
You know,
I
mean, could you maybe just give us a little overview of maybe what you think about the plans for the future of it now, and kind of maybe bringing it back to that community use?
Yeah, I'm delighted. I've worried about it ever since it closed. It broke my heart, and it's been terrible. I can't tell you how sad it has been, because it has just been dark. The whole village has been dark. We don't have street lights. When there are no lights on in the pub, the entire village is in complete darkness. So no car park lights on, no lights, no nothing. And it just has been like a ghost place.
Yeah.
Because the houses are mainly second homes.
Yeah.
The pub was the heart of the place. And when it closed, it was just as though that heart stopped beating.
Yeah.
Basically.
So now we get the heart going again.
I am so thrilled. I can't tell you how thrilled and delighted I am that someone like Drysdale Arts, an organisation like Drysdale Arts, are willing to take this on board, and it's going to be used for the community.
Yeah.
Instead of what could have happened to it, where it could have been taken on by some sort of entrepreneur or some sort of building contractor, where the only thing of their concern was how much you could get out of it for how little you could pay into it.
Yeah.
And this is why I am so delighted that Drysdale Arts, who are sort of a community-based organisation They understand the community, they know the people in the community, they're working for the community, and all this is at the heart of this project, and that's why I'm so delighted that it's got to go ahead. I only found out the last couple of days that it is in fact going ahead, and I can't tell you how excited I was when I found out.
Well, Wendy, thank you so much for doing this little interview for us. And I don't think this will be the last time we hear of you, because one of the things that we plan to do as soon as we are able to have a bit more capacity is to start documenting the history as well, because that's part of the project, is to retain that heritage and the history and the importance of what this place has been over the years and centuries that it's been here.
Yeah.
So Wendy, thank you so much. Let's get you to a warm place now.
We have that cup of coffee that we
definitely. All right. Thank you.